Haruhi episode 5. Moving along here. Last episode just got wild. Like everything that you didn't expect to come out of this series came out of this series. Well, I mean, we expected some things, but a little bit different on the grounds of like I wasn't expecting there to be corrupted versions of other people that we kind of run into that will try and attack us and have their own motives and things that they're going towards, and just kind of a mess. You know, I wasn't expecting all of that. So now that we have all of that in front of us, I am really interested to see what more we decide to pull out and what more we decide to almost unveil and explain about the inner workings of kind of the travel between everyone, maybe uncover some things that each individual member's after. It is early in the series to the point that I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen, but due to the watch order and stuff being weird, there is potential that could be going down earlier than necessarily expected, I guess. So we're just going to have to hold out here and really see what ends up going down, with Haruhi now being very enthused over the idea of a student transferring out and all these weird things going down, like their own cause potential, at least. For that to be the case, it looks like we're gonna have to explore an adventure a little bit, and she might get her desired kind of exploring, weird hunting alone time that she seemingly wants with Kyon. So that could be fun. If you like it all, hit the like and subscribe down. Feel free to stick around for the discussion. Leave any comments that are serious. Going with episode 5. You'd be a huge liar. Yeah, but this was not the girl I was expecting. Because of this creature next to me. You just buzz her number and expect someone to answer. Don't press us. Yeah, just let us go, and then we just go in while it's open. Easy. Quick. Listen, you're not wrong. It's entirely strange.
ことがまだあるのよね。朝倉ってこの市内の中学から北高に来たんじゃないらしいのよ。そりゃまあそうだろうな。調べてみたらどこか市外の中学から越境入学してきたわけ。絶対おかしいでしょ。別に北高は有名進学校でもなんでもない。ただのありふれた県立校よ。なんでわざわざそんなことするわけ？知らん。でも中学はこんなに学校の近くにある。しかも分譲よ。
Love how like over he is. Listen to her yap. We love yappers around her. I love it. Bust the shit down. We will find the keys. Doesn't matter, we'll take. He literally can't hear you. Yeah, okay. There you go. Wow. So we got no info for you. There was nothing in the room to begin with. I hadn't loaded in yet. Naturally would remember that. Could care less. Great job doing your job. Also, her moving here 3 years ago, right? Alright, get back in that window, dude.
ありがとうございました。
Stop being creepy.
少年
Yo, good shit, bro.
今にきっと美人になるべ。鳥にが住んでないよ。
こいつも
Oh.
飯は食うんだな。
ひょっとしてあんたもこのマンションなの？奇遇ね。
どう考えても奇遇じゃない。
Yeah, from my angle, it makes
朝倉のこ
sense.
と何か聞いてない？転校したの知ってるでしょ？そう。もし何か分かったら教えてよね。いい？メガネどうしたの？
Naturally. Lost. Didn't load
見
in.
られても困るんだが。
気をつけて。
今度
Why would you say that and not elaborate? Yeah, why would you do that? Bro's gonna be panicking the whole day.
これからどこに行くつもりなんだ？
別に。
ノープラン。
You're following though. We go to her place.
俺
Curious what her room looks
もう
like.
帰っていいか？
自分がこの地球でどれほどちっぽけな存在なのか自覚したことある？
何を言い出すんだ？
私はある。忘れもしない。小学生の
Uh-oh.
6年生の時、家族みんなで野球を見に行ったのよ。見渡す限り人だらけなのよ。野球場の向こうにいる米粒みたいな人間がびっしりうごめいてるの。日本の人間が残らずこの空間に集まっているんじゃないかと思った。でね、親父に聞いてみたのよ。ここ
Just the smallest of percentages.
だろって親父は答えた。試合が終わって駅まで行く道にも人が溢れていたわ。それを見て私は愕然としたの。家に帰って電卓で計算してみたの。日本の人口が1億数千万ってのは社会の時間
I got a number so big, I got an error.
5万で割ってみるとたった2000分の1。私はまた愕然とした。私なんてあの球場にいた人混みの中のたった一人でしかなくて、あれだけたくさんに思えた球場の人たちも実は一つかみでしかないんだって。私が世界で一番楽しいと思っているクラスの出来事もこんなの日本のどの学校でもありふれたものでしかないんだ。日本全国のすべての人間から見たら普通の出来事。
Losing its specialty, the uniqueness to it.
私の周りの世界が色あせたみたいに感じた。夜歯を磨いて寝るのも朝起きて朝ごはんを
Just the normal things everyone else does.
みんながみんなやってる普通の日常
Thank God everyone does that, by the way.
途端に何もかもがつまらなくなった。そして世の中にこれだけの人がいたら、その中にはちっとも普通じゃなく面白い人生を送ってる人もいるんだ。そうに違いないと思ったの。それが私じゃないのはなぜ？小学校
Everything we've done has been.
私はずっとそんなことを考えてた。
Mm-hmm.
考えてたら思いついたわ。面白いことは待っててもやってこないんだってね。
So you gotta make it happen on your own. Just create a whole new world.
世界に訴えようと思ったの。実際私なりにそうしたつもり。でも結局は何も。
こんなことくらいしか言えない自分がちょっと憂鬱だ。
帰る。
俺もどっちかといえばそっちから帰った方が早く帰れるんだが、しかし春日の背中は無言でついてくんなと言ってるような気がして、
Mm-hmm.
俺はただひたすらに春日の背中が見えなくなるまでその場に立ち尽くしていた。何をやってるんだろうね。
It's funny how he felt all day to now being at a loss. Oh, brother.
そうと思いまして帰りを待たせてもらいました。
俺がどこに行ってたのか知ってるみたいな話し方だな。
we got eyes on you.
お時間をいただいてもよろしいでしょうか。
鈴宮絡みで。
鈴宮さん絡みで。超能力者ならその証拠を見せろとおっしゃったでしょ。
We
ちょうどいい
did.
機会が到来したもんですからお付き合い願おうと思いまして。
All right.
わざわざ
I'm
登
excited.
必要があるのか。
僕が超能力者的な力を発揮するにはとある場所、とある条件下でないと。
That's
今日
not
これから向
good.
かう場所がいい具合に条件を満たしているという。
Hopefully there's multiple places that meet that requirement.
人間原理という言葉をご存知ですか。
ご存知でないな。
please do explain.
宇宙があるべき姿をしているのは人間が観測することによって初めてそうであることを知ったからだという理論です。
ちっともわからん。
我観測す、故に宇宙あり とでも言い換えましょうか。人類がいるからこそ宇宙は存在を知られているという人間本位な理屈のことです。
そんなバカな話があるか。人類がいようがいまいが宇宙は宇宙だろ。
その通りです。だから人間原理とは試作的な理論に過ぎない。なぜ宇宙はこうも人類の生存に適した形で創造されたのか。重力定数があるいは粒子の質量比がわずかでも違っていたなら宇宙がこのような世界になることはなかったでしょう。
Yes, it would not have.
変な宗教のパンフレットにありそうな
何も僕は全知全能たる絶対神が人間の造物種であるなどと信仰しているわけではありません。ただし疑ってはいます。
何をだ。
僕たちは崖っぷちでつま先立ちしている道化師のごとき存在なのではないかとね。
The fuck do you mean by that?
お前の言ってることは何一つとして
From the beginning, no clue.
例えですよ。鈴宮さんの話がまだです。
Oh my god.
どうしてお前も長友朝比奈さんも春日がそんなに好きなんだ。
魅
Love.
力的な人だとは思えますが、それは置いときましょう。宇宙人がいるに違いない。そうであってほしいと願った。だから長門由紀がいる。同様に未来人もいてほしいと思った。だから朝比奈未来がここにいる。
Yep.
そして僕も彼女に願われたからと。
Yep. What about the man sitting to your left?
わかるんだよ。
3年前のことです。
3年前のことはもういい。
That fucking date.
ある日突然、僕は自分にある能力とどう使うべきかをなぜか知っていた。僕と同じ力を持つ人間が僕と同様に力に目覚めたこともね。ついでにそれが鈴宮春日によってもたらされたこともなぜか説明できません。分かってしまうんだから仕方がないとしか。
1億万歩
I just it's a feeling.
春日にそんなことができるとは思えん。
自分にとって面白くないものだと思い込んでいる。これはちょっとした恐怖ですよ。
なぜだ。
Because she could create anything she wants. Yes.
今までの世界をなかったこと。
Blow this truck up right in front of us just to make it fun.
そうなると文字通り世界の終わりが訪れます。もっとも僕たちがそれを知る術はないでしょうが、むしろ我々が唯一無二だと思っているこの世界も実は何度も作り直された結果なのかもしれません。
だったら春日に自分の正体を明かしたら。
No, no, no.
出題すると知ったら喜ぶぞあいつ。世界をどうにかしようとは思わないかもしれん。
それはそれで困るんですよ。鈴宮さんが超能力なんて日常に存在するのが当たり前だと思ったなら、世界は本当にそのように。
Once she observes and becomes aware of the fact she has them, she's not gonna not use them.
今それに気づいていないんだ。おかしいだろ。
宇宙人や未来人や超能力者が存在
Wasn't specific towards you.
そんなものがいるはずがないという常識論が鈴宮さんの中ではせめぎ合っているのですよ。
Oh.
言動は中学時代は砂嵐のようだった精神もここ数ヶ月は割に落ち着いて、僕としてはこのまま落ち着いてほしかったんですけどね。ここに来てまたトルネードを発生させている。
どういうわけだ。
あなたのせいですよ。
Right, right, of course.
怪しげなクラブを作るように
Yeah. Well, got her ticking.
あなたとの会話によって彼女は奇妙な人間ばかりを集めたクラブを作る気になったのだから、責任はあなたに帰結します。その結果、鈴宮春日に関心を抱く3つの勢力の末端が一堂に会することになってしまった。しばし目を閉じていただけませんか。
We're just gonna stop everything. Oh, we're in the void.
気持ち悪い。
もう結構です。次元断層の隙間、
Color?
我々の世界とは隔絶された閉鎖空間です。閉鎖空間は全くのランダムに発生します。一日おきに現れることもあれば、何ヶ月も音沙汰なしのこともある。ただ一つ明らかなのは、鈴宮さんの精神が不安定になるとこの空間が生まれる。
So we can monitor it by that.
閉
Alright.
鎖空間の現実を僕は探知することができ、そこに入ることもできる。さらに僕の能力はそれだけではありません。言うなれば、僕には鈴宮さんの理性を反映した能力が与えられてい
So
る。
we're seeing a gray, unstable world.
精神に生まれたニキビだとしたら、僕はニキビ治療薬なんですよ。
お前の例えは分かりにくい。
You're making it more and more difficult.
始まったようです。後ろを見てください。
Uh-oh. What do you mean it? What the fuck is that?
鈴宮さんのイライラが限界に達するとあの巨人が出て
represents her emotions.
ストレスを発散させているんでしょう。僕の同志ですよ。僕と同じように鈴宮さんに力を与えられた巨人を狩るものです。さて僕も参加しなければ。
So we go to war like every day. Nice job, guys. Damn, even in her own safe space she creates, she can't destroy things freely and live freely.
これ以上何があるんだ。
あの怪物の消滅に伴い閉鎖空間も消滅します。ちょっとしたスペクタクルですよ。
But why is that a good thing, would be my question. Wouldn't it be better to let her take it fully out and do it on her own?
あの青い怪物を我々は神の人、神人と呼んでいます。神人は鈴宮さんの精神活動と連動している。そして我々もそうなんです。閉鎖空間が生まれ、神人が生まれる時に限り、僕は異能の力を発揮できる。それも閉鎖空間の中でしか使えない力です。神人の活動を放置しておくわけにはいきません。なぜなら神人が破壊すればするほど閉鎖空間も拡大していくからです。さっきの
Okay.
あれでもまだ小規模。
Right. What's the big issue with it getting big, though?
全世界を覆い尽くすでしょう。そうなれば最後、あちらの灰色の空間が我々のこの世界と入れ替わってしまうのですよ。
So if it gets too big, it'll overtake. Okay.
分かってしまうのだからしょうがありません。僕たち機関に所属している人間は全てそうです。僕たちが何とかしなければ確実に世界は崩壊するのです。
俺が注意しててもどうこうなるもんでもないんじゃないのか。
さあ、それはどうでしょうか。僕としてはあなたに全ての下駄を預けてしまってもいいと思ってるんですがね。我々の中でもいろいろと思惑が錯綜して
Among Us.
小泉は春日の動向に注意しろという。長友なんだか知らないが気をつけろと言っていた。それでも俺は今すぐ何かが起きるのだろうとは思っていなかった。もし俺に予知能力があって翌日あんな途方もない事態が到来することが分かっていたとしたら、とてものんきにしてはいられなかっただろうが。
They always leave me with a lot to think about. See, this is why you stay away from the mentally ill girls, okay? Some of y'all be getting too close to them, okay? And when they're the way they are, they'll just literally turn the world into their own space and then engulf the world that we know and create a new one and destroy it in you in the process, okay? Be careful. Be careful out there, okay? A showcase of powers, a showcase of Haruhi's powers, I guess, at the same time. Maybe not, but maybe at the same time. And a whole lot of yapping. You know, it's a light novel when when the yapping goes crazy like this. But we do get a bunch of that stuff throughout. And it's displayed in a way that's really intriguing. There's other shows, KyoAni shows. I'm not going to name any names. You know which one if you know. They do a whole lot of yapping, and sometimes it equates to nothing. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it's not even interesting dialogue. This is really interesting as it unfolds. The characters, especially Kyon, feels real throughout it happening with his general, I don't know what's going on. There's simple mumblings and one-word responses in a way to Haruhi and just going along with what she wants. They're cool. They fit really well. I like them. He resembles almost, I guess, what I would assume the natural viewer to kind of be, where everybody's just rambling and just being like, right, yeah, okay. Like, sure, just let it happen and not really press it on too much or ask too many questions. And then when you do ask a bunch of questions, they always have the answers for it. And then you're just like, I have no clue what's going on anymore. Really fun. And I think we got some good stuff out of him. And the entire episode revolves around two simple conversations. One, but not really simple, but simple in a way, between Haruhi and Kyon walking around trying to go to this household or this apartment, find out, you know, any details they can about the moving and the situation that unfolded throughout the previous episode, to then moving into the Koizumi stuff and having him express his own powers and show a bunch of that stuff off in drop some key knowledge and things for us throughout. We get to see more clarity on the 3-year stuff being extremely relevant. Haruhi backstory and stuff comes out of it, of understanding her and where things have come from, which is fun. Learning I thought at the end where we were going, they mentioned the gray sky and everything. I thought we were going gray world. That is a space where we get a glimpse into her mind, maybe even presently, how she's kind of seeing things, how she saw things after her world kind of changed and flipped upside down for the first time because of that stupid fucking baseball game. Look what you did to the world. She, like, getting to see it through that sort of lens I thought would be cool, and maybe it still does represent exactly what she sees now, and it's not some alternate prior version or just whatever the scenario is. But I think that's a still cool idea in general, and going into this subconscious state almost of where her anger and lashing out and everything is kind of coming from, and the expansion that consists on it as she enters into these mentally sort of unstable sort of moods that Kyon is directly contributing to, and likely even throughout this episode, while a majority of it I would contribute to not finding any answers or leads or things that she feels would provide any sort of necessary interest for, you know, expanding on and continuing this research and journey that she's kind of on to uncover these extraterrestrial sort of things, but at the same time could also contribute down to factors of Kyon's lack of enthusiasm within, you know, the general conversation with his responses and stuff towards her, his lack of he didn't follow her after she ended up turning around, his lack of asking a bunch of questions that are very things that, you know, would get her going, get her excited. So potential just lack of information that ended up being exciting on her own end caused this, but also could just be directly from the person who is directly inspiring and contributing to the excitement and all the goods that are coming into her life here doesn't uphold that sort of interest either. It's where that anger and those issues kind of likely stemmed from. And I'd assume we had one of these scenarios occur when the entire club got together and had their outing and she didn't end up getting to be with him there. Is it directly up to the fact that we're not getting any leads, or is it more of a wanting to connect with somebody on a sort of level that she feels she's not getting right now too? Potential both could be contributed to it. I don't know. I could be pushing like a relationship sort of thing a little bit more than it is needed, like her weighing on like how important he is directly to her. Maybe this is too early, or maybe just doesn't happen at all and I'm just throwing it at it for no reason, but I feel like I'd be wrong to not think that this could be a contributing factor towards her general emotion state and being so different, I guess, at any moment, so fluctuating so much. I think that's what I was looking for. So it'll be fun to see the way that she kind of unfolds. I like the general backstory we get with her. It is something that's real enough, and it makes me feel a sort of way towards her. I feel bad, of course, having to have somebody do this, but it is eye-opening to then get, you know, how big the world really is. And it is one of those things that hits like fucking crazy whenever you do think about how small of a percentage of a person you really are and the impact that you'll likely end up leaving on the world by the time you're gone. It's a little depressing to think about how little to the bigger picture you matter, but how important you might be to the smaller picture of those that you can kind of build and gain around you. And maybe that's where we're headed, right? Maybe it's allow Haruhi to find those sort of small things within life, which contributes back even more to the general theory of the placement of Kyon being wished upon for her, and maybe not even being, maybe he, you know, was prior, but more of position herself or himself in a scenario where they can kind of meet, and finding that person that is a human at the end of the day who isn't one of these things that you're outward seeking, thinking that you need that to bring that spice and general excitement into your life. And at the end of the day, it is just this other human who is that sort of thing. And it's that will reignite and spark that sort of hope into her, and maybe not even view the world on a grand scale as this special thing, but those around her, those in her circle, and that she's grown close to and formed these sort of bonds and relationships with as the more important sort of things. And those are the things that matter, because like even us, as much as you want to make that large impact, and you can go out of your way and do a variety of things, but if you really do want to make that sort of impact, it has to be on the easiest sort of level that you can. It has to be on those closest to you, leave that sort of lasting impact, leave that legacy in a way that, you know, your friends will pass it down to their kids and their kids will pass it down, even further removed from your own family, immediate, you know. That's the most that you can do, I think, on a personal sort of like a smaller scale here. So I guess that's maybe a route too that we can think about potentially going with her. But it's fun stuff regardless, and I really do like her general views towards a lot of this stuff, and I get exactly where she's coming from and why things sort of changed. And this would make a lot of sense as a large sort of thing that turned her down a certain path and turned her towards wanting to create a world or wish upon a world with things like these sort of beings in them, to spice that and potentially give the blue back to the sky could be a really good thing, I think, for her. So it makes a lot of sense why she did it. But we do have to be really cautious because she's sending these goddish beings into their own kind of dimensions in a way that are trying to take over. So it could be bad still. So I think they're monitoring and being careful. That's being advised from the others is very smart and should happen. But I do fear what it means for Kyonen and how he's going to potentially walk on eggshells or whatever he chooses to go down, I guess, in regards to their relationship and how he wants to handle and even general interactions. If he pushes too far, he doesn't push enough, or whatever it is, could be things that directly backfire and could be something that wears on him a lot. As the main character, typically that stuff I feel like doesn't happen as much as it should, and we don't get as psychologically deep as we should with people being completely broken down by the ways of the things that they're trying in the world around them, kind of not following suit almost. I would love to maybe get a little bit more into that, but we'll see if it does happen as a route they plan to potentially end up going down. Like, I'm yapping about a whole bunch of shit, so let's move along. This might be a little more difficult to directly talk about, like certain scenes and stuff, because a lot of it's dialogue heavy as opposed to what goes down. Like, we're in 3 main locations, right? It's the apartment building, it's the car ride, and then, well, I guess the train as well, and then the other dimension that we kind of put ourselves in. So those are the only like locations throughout all of this. Some fun little stuff too, little things of her just pulling on him and dragging him around trying to find this and not actually obtaining any sort of relatively like interesting information out of this interaction. Unfortunate for her. Fun little joke with this guy not being able to hear and just acting the way that he is. He's a little weird, but at the same time it's the fun stuff that comes out of it. Him having no knowledge of this either just sends her into even more confusion about where we're going. Of course, running into Yuki, who lives here. This is just the building where they all reside, which is real fun. The mention of 3 years being in there too, if that's when she ended up moving in. Yeah, no shit. Here we go on. Here's the existence of how small you really are. And she finds out all the stuff. Visually, really fun. I like keeping the black backgrounds here throughout all these different sort of scenarios that occur. And not just keeping it still. They could have did this frame the entire time of just her right here, but instead they flash her all around the screen. It keeps your eye kind of moving around. It keeps you a little bit more engaged. I think it's really fun. And so she decided to give herself a chance, and she wished upon some new stuff to realistically go down. At this point, though, he was just, bro, stunned. He didn't know what to do. So let's go on. We have more conversation to be had. Which, once again, just follows more of, I think, what I've already wanted to almost touch on. They touch on observation and things, which is something that I've seen in, I think, 1 or 2 other series really be referenced. But it does follow along with, I think, some other questions and stuff. One of the things that I always go back to is sound in general. I remember a key example in conversation that we were having in school. It was my sophomore year in science class, whatever my class was. I don't remember the science that I was taking. I remember we were having a conversation, and I think somebody mentioned the idea of the open field where like a tree falls with nobody around and nobody to observe the tree falling or anything. So the sound that comes from it, does it make a sound or does it not? Because if nobody's there to take in the sound that occurs from it, is it actually something that exists or does it not? And I remember everybody arguing back and forth for a while, because you have those who want to take the point of view of no sound gets created because there's nothing out there to really soak it up or take it in, as in beings, right? There's other objects and stuff out there that could probably absorb these sort of things, but us as humans and stuff and animals or whatever else might be out there, if there is nothing, who knows? So I just remember those conversations and stuff, which are a little different than this scenario, but at the same time, pretty similar in a way that it's like, if you're not present in that sort of moment to almost observe this, is it actually existence or is it not? If you're not here to actively look at the earth from the outside or from the interior of being within it, is it there? You know, how do we know what's there? How do we know if it's there at all? How do we know if it's real or what's not? And these are the issues that you unfortunately have to go through, and that's where they put themselves in with this sort of conversation. And I love how he presents this as an entire thing before he's like, oh yeah, we haven't even gotten to her yet, but explains a lot of the stuff in regards to wishing upon and putting them in these sort of positions of her wanting a colorful cast, of course. And I do wonder still if he's a part of that too, whether it's him as a being or if it's more of just his location and where he's been, or maybe even hers, and the way that things have kind of shaped out now for this meeting to be some sort of fated thing that likely will occur. But things are getting pretty bad because of the way that she is feeling and acting, which we enter into this state, which is pretty cool. I love it being not fully out of color, but gray, right? That's the best way to fully describe it, to be able to create this state and create this being that just wants to go through and cause destruction. And I think it's really funny to have, like, it's almost like she has this thing in her mind that is being created, but it's within her mind that's just destroying everything through her own anger and is potentially going to overtake shit. And the fact that he just decided to have some aura here and level up to take it out. Because I did wonder, it's like, if it is that anger, the internal thing that she's dealing with, wouldn't you just let that be? Wouldn't you want her just to like let it all out and then be reset almost to zero and then come back and then you have like a longer extended time before this occurs again? But it's not the case, because there is an actual fear that comes with the overall conquering of it. So we have to be very cautious of what goes down. So pretty fun, but it's a nice way to explain what his ability would be and why it won't be relevant in the general battles that we may face on a day-to-day, such as getting attacked and potentially destroyed by these sort of beings that we had in the previous episode, right? He's only going to be useful in these sort of states to keep and protect us from going further and to keep consistently monitoring and observing her, the changes in her and her emotions. So pretty cool that he has that sort of role. And I'd love to get a lot more on Mikuru now, because knowing kind of what we can do power-wise almost with Yuki, and now knowing a little bit of what we can do with Koizumi, outside of just general coming back and giving warnings and stuff, I do wonder if there's more to what we're going to get from Mikuru, which is intriguing. But it's nice to know that each of them like aren't these people who can just go into a battle and fight it all like together, like, can they team up and are this like super team or something? They're like literally people who have to operate on different sort of aspects of what they're each trying to maybe individually or together sort of achieve here. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to consistently see how they plan to evolve with that. That is all from me. Had some fun, of course. I hope you did as well. If you liked it all, like and subscribe. Now it's my feel free to check out the video and channel. The content of the series. I'll be back for episode 6 very soon. It was a great one though.